This is another chapter from Flash Wisdom, a curated collection of mind-blowing, perspective-changing quotes, edited by me, Russ Kick. This is the chapter called Well-Being. It opens with Gillette Burgess. Our bodies are apt to be our autobiographies. From Jean Moreau. We have so many words for states of mind, and so few words for states of the body. From Boris Pasternak. The great majority of us are required to live a life of constant systematic duplicity. Your health is bound to be affected if, day after day, you say the opposite of what you feel, if you grovel before what you dislike, and rejoice at what brings you nothing but misfortune. From Anne Wigmore. The food you eat could either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine, or the slowest form of poison. From Esther Blumenfeld. What you eat today walks and talks tomorrow. From Michael Pollan. Don't eat anything your great-grandmother wouldn't recognize as food. Don't eat anything with more than 5 ingredients, or ingredients you can't pronounce. From John Burroughs. I go to nature to be soothed and healed, and to have my senses put in order. From Sylvia Plath. There must be quite a few things a hot bath won't cure, but I don't know many of them. From Tallulah Bankhead. Here's a rule I recommend. Never practice 2 vices at once. From Terence McKenna. I think of going to the grave without having a psychedelic experience like going to the grave without ever having sex. It means that you never figured out what it is all about. The mystery is in the body and the way the body works itself into nature. From Samuel Johnson. Abstinence is as easy to me as temperance would be difficult. From Pliny the Elder. In wine there is truth. From William James. The sway of alcohol over mankind is unquestionably due to its power to stimulate the mystical faculties of human nature, usually crushed to earth by the cold facts and dry criticisms of the sober hour. Sobriety diminishes, discriminates, and says no. Drunkenness expands, unites, and says yes. It is, in fact, the great exciter of the yes function in man. It brings its votary from the chill periphery of things to the radiant core. It makes him, for the moment, one with truth. From Ernest Hemingway. Always do sober what you said you'd do drunk. That will teach you to keep your mouth shut. From Frida Kahlo. I drank because I wanted to drown my sorrows, but now the damn things have learned how to swim. From Bertrand Russell. Drunkenness is temporary suicide. From Tom Robbins. Are you aware that rushing toward a goal is a sublimated death wish? It is no coincidence we call them deadlines. From Edward Abbey. One final paragraph of advice. Do not burn yourselves out. Be as I am, a reluctant enthusiast, a part-time crusader, a half-hearted fanatic. Save the other half of yourselves and your lives for pleasure and adventure. From Lao Tzu. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. From Thomas Merton. The rush and pressure of modern life are a form, perhaps the most common form, of its innate violence. To allow oneself to be carried away by a multitude of conflicting concerns, to surrender to too many demands, to commit oneself to too many projects, to want to help everyone in everything, is to succumb to violence. More than that, it is cooperation in violence. From St. Teresa of Avila. When you have grown still on purpose, while everything around you is asking for chaos, you will find the doors between every room of the interior castle thrown open, the path home to your true love unobstructed after all. From Lin Yutang. Besides the noble art of getting things done, there is the noble art of leaving things undone. The wisdom of life consists in the elimination of non-essentials. From Alan Watts. Man suffers because of his craving to possess and keep forever things which are impermanent. From Sarah Teasdale, I make the most of all that comes and the least of all that goes. From John Maxwell, you cannot overestimate the unimportance of practically everything. Erica Zhang, advice is what we ask for when we already know the answer but wish we didn't. From Philip James Bailey, the worst men often give the best advice. From Edna St. Vincent Millay, I am glad that I paid so little attention to good advice. Had I abided by it, I might have been saved from some of my most valuable mistakes. From Philip K. Dick, don't try to solve serious matters in the middle of the night. From Napoleon Bonaparte, the best way to keep one's word is not to give it. From Alison Lurie, even when we say nothing, our clothes are talking noisily to everyone who sees us, telling them who we are, where we come from, what we like to do in bed, and a dozen other intimate things. From Brené Brown, talk to yourself like you would to someone you love. From Gertrude Stein, considering how dangerous everything is, nothing is really very frightening. From Georgia O'Keeffe, I've been absolutely terrified every moment of my life, and I've never let it keep me from doing a single thing that I wanted to do. Paulo Coelho, tell your heart that the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself. From Jonathan Safran Foer, you cannot protect yourself from sadness without protecting yourself from happiness. From Rumi, don't grieve. Anything you lose comes around in another form. From an unnamed woman quoted in the Financial Times, nothing is as bleak as it seems at the time. From Khalil Gibran, the deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. From Rumi, the cure for pain is in the pain. From Proust, we are healed of his suffering only by experiencing it in full. From Washington Irving, there is a sacredness in tears. They are not the mark of weakness, but of power. They speak more eloquently than 10,000 tongues. They are the messengers of overwhelming grief, of deep contrition, and of unspeakable love. From Victor Hugo, those who do not weep do not see. A Jewish proverb, what soap is for the body, tears are for the soul. From Charles Dickens, heaven knows we need never be ashamed of our tears, for they are rain upon the blinding dust of earth, overlying our hard hearts. I was better after I had cried than before, more sorry, more aware of my own ingratitude, more gentle. From R.D. Lang, where can you scream? It's a serious question. Where can you go in society and scream? From Chuck Palahniuk, the things you own end up owning you. From Anais Nin, in order to change skins, evolve into new cycles, I feel one has to learn to discard. If one changes internally, one should not continue to live with the same objects. They reflect one's mind and psyche of yesterday. I throw away what has no dynamic living use. From James Wallman, stop accumulating stuff and start accumulating experiences. From Sidney Smith, poverty is no disgrace to a man, but it is confoundedly inconvenient. From Somerset Maugham, he had heard people speak contemptuously of money. He wondered if they had ever tried to do without it. From Jackie French Kohler, there are two ways to be rich. One is by acquiring much, and the other is by desiring little. From Francis Moore Lappé, I think that luxury has nothing to do with money, and everything to do with beauty. A Chinese proverb, when you have only 2 pennies left in the world, buy a loaf of bread with one, and a lily with the other.